Mindfulness broadcast. I'm Theo, your grateful host today. So happy Friday. The topic that I wanted to cover today is a phrase that comes from a teacher that some of you may have heard of, Pema Chodron. She's a really great resource for teachings in case you haven't come across her name before. And she has this phrase that has just never left me since I first heard her speak about it, and it is shaky tender-heartedness. So, shaky tender-heartedness is a phrase that really speaks to what it's like to have a mindfulness practice in the midst of stormy waters. And so, for myself, I've been going through a little bit of stormy waters, not a ton of stormy waters, but I did have a friend pass a little over a week ago. Not someone that I knew terribly well, but someone that I knew in a kind of intimate way. He's another mindfulness teacher that I spent some time with, and he went on a walk in a park and he just died. I haven't heard what the actual cause of that was, but he was not that old, so it was a very surprising thing. Um, so that's been happening, and I've also been experiencing some insomnia for some reason. So I keep waking up at 3 in the morning. And when we have these things happen in our lives, we have choices, right? And if we have a practice, if we have a way to be with the things that are, that's a big step in being more skillful in dealing with the challenges that life's going to throw us. And shaky tender-heartedness is a really good way to understand what that sometimes feels like. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the kind of basic mindfulness concepts that go along with this shaky tender-heartedness, and what it can kind of feel like. So one of the basic ideas for me in terms of mindfulness is that rather than turning away from my experiences, I'm turning toward, I'm being with, and I'm essentially expanding my capacity to walk through the things that happen in our lives. All the challenges, all of the sadness, and the joy. And so, whereas before, what is often happening is I'm trying to fight against the nature of life, which in mindfulness we think of as impermanence. Everything arises and it stays for a little while and then it passes away. Whether that's human beings, whether that's a relationship, whether that's a job. Um, and oftentimes what we're doing is we're fighting to keep things from passing away. Like, oh, I've got it just the way I want it. Don't let it change. Please don't change. But the nature of things is to change. The nature of things is to pass away. And that's why impermanence is such an important concept. And when we deal with the reality of impermanence, often we will be faced with this shaky tenderheartedness. And that has been my experience over the past few days of just sitting with what is and having it be tender, having it be uncomfortable, having it be sad. And so the invitation here is to acknowledge and practice being with what is in your own lives. And that also can be what we think of as positive emotions, not just the negative ones. So, what we're up to when we practice is we are slowly but surely expanding our window of tolerance. We're able to sit with things in more stability, in more groundedness. And that is inclusive of things that might be thought of as negative. So, a big upset within a relationship, the death of a loved one, the loss of a job. Or it can also, on the other hand, be positive. We can really experience joy. we can become much more grateful for even the things that seem somewhat mundane. So that is the idea. And so, what I'd like to do today is invite you to just take stock of where you are right now and invite you to be with that experience more fully. And we'll also use the breath to kind of buoy us to create a stable foundation that will allow us to be with that more effectively, more skillfully. So I'm going to go ahead and invite you to just take a second to orient yourself in time and space. So, where are you right now? What do you see around you? Is there a window? Do you notice something about the room where you are? Um, Anything that can kind of just orient you to where you are. Once you feel oriented, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes or at least have your eyes kind of half open with a really soft focus. And then I'm going to have you take a couple of intentional deep breaths. So breathe in all the way down to your belly. If you want to put a hand on your belly, you can do that. And hold for just a little bit. And then exhale for just a little bit longer than the inhale. Do a complete exhalation. Breathe into the belly, hold, and then release completely. Just letting your nervous system know that you're safe in this moment, in this place. And then allow the breath to go back to its natural state. And then just ask yourself the question, what is here with me now? And that could be sensations in the body that you're noticing, could be thoughts or stories about circumstances in your life. Could be anticipation of something that's happening soon. Whatever is here, I'm just inviting you to kind of breathe into that experience. And if it's helpful, you can put a hand on your heart and you can say something as simple as, I can be with this. And there may be some tenderness. It may feel a little shaky, or it may feel joyful. And there might be something that comes to mind that's really positive. But whatever is here, as best we can, let's just open ourselves up to the experience. breath by breath, learning how to trust our ability to be with things as they are. And for some of you, it might feel like walking through fire. And just notice what sensations arise. Notice the thoughts. If it's helpful, you can take a mental note, thinking, planning, remembering, fantasizing, and just bear witness. And if it's helpful, if there's any sense of shakiness that starts to tilt into any feelings of overwhelm, then we can simply return to the physical sensations of breathing. Just notice what it feels like to breathe and know that the breath has the capacity to hold all of our experience. And if it's helpful, you can also search for a place in your body that is either neutral or slightly positive in terms of the sensations you're experiencing. Maybe there's a lightness, a tingling, a warmth somewhere in your body. For me, it's in my back, feeling warmth in my back. Could be sensation of your hand on your heart. And just focus your awareness on that specific area as a place of refuge. And in a few moments, we'll return to our physical space and to our day. Before we do, we just invite you to acknowledge that even in the past 10 minutes or so, you have increased your ability to be with life as it is. And in doing so, you have become not only more resilient yourself, but also increased your ability to be a healing presence for others in your life. And then as you continue, that will be more and more true. So when you're ready, you can wiggle your body, sway back and forth. You can stretch your arms, Slowly open your eyes and return to the space. Otherwise, I'm wishing you super duper Friday and weekends. Thank you so much for being with me.